Glad I remembered. All right, finishing up final two big principle ideas. Starting first with seeing and missing. So the word zoom in and zoom out was lost on some kids, and that's totally fine. What I mean by zooming in and zooming out is literally like a camera focus. So if I, for example, were to zoom in on these fingers, they would become the big focus of attention. And if I were to zoom out, now there are many things to look at and think about regarding what you see. Okay, now they are just a small piece of a whole, and that sun is blinding me. So that's what those two words kind of mean. Again, focus in and focus out. So by definition, focusing on one thing forces you to neglect others. I have to agree with the 2/3 here. And I'm wondering if these folks who disagree meant that if I'm focusing, for example, on the light from outside shining on my forehead, I can still recognize that there's a picture over there, there's a couch over there, I know where I'm sitting, I know that I am sitting, I know that I'm talking in a computer. So there are things that I could recognize, but if I'm focused here, for example, I'm going to miss where my big toe right now is pointed, right? So if I focus in on one detail, I'm going to miss another detail. Okay, and I think we can all agree on that. Okay. Focusing is zooming in, we just talked about that. So zooming in could mean focusing on how a particular body part, detail, moves or feels. Agree. Zooming out could mean looking at how your entire system is positioned or feels. So an example, if I was gonna do a push-up, right? The zoom out would be how tired am I doing that push-up? And a zoom in might be what my palm is doing or where I feel the tension in my tricep. Okay, so zooming out, big picture, or snapshots of other details, zooming in, honing in on one area, really trying to figure out what is going at that point. This you got. To be most effective and to make performing a movement the most interesting, what we're after, so we're not just results-based, one should be able to zoom in and zoom out. Okay, you got this, right? These, we're going to kind of go over the lunge hold and the lunge as examples. I'm going to show you basically live here. In general, why performing a movement slowly could be helpful in finding details if you imagine a movie happening. A movie is basically a sequence of these snapshots. Now, if I was able to hang on to a snapshot, I could study it and find the details. Much easier. I could learn more about, I could see what's going on, much more so than if that picture was moving. Okay, so it's about capturing interest. You also knew, once I know what to pay attention to, I can apply those observational skills to moving faster, more explosively. Yeah. So if I want to do these performance feats, if I want to run faster, I want to jump higher, I need to know what all the pieces are that makes one person jump higher or run faster. If I just try, again, it's not effort. If I just keep trying harder and harder, that doesn't necessarily going to get me where to improvement. It's going to get me to work, but work does not necessarily translate to improvement. The only certainty it translates to is work. And for some people, that's enough. Okay, so just want to take you through a little demonstration. I'm going to perform a lunge, a typical lunge, in 2 ways. And I want you to tell me which lunge you think is better. Okay, version 1 or version A? Version 2 or version B? I'll stop screen sharing so you can chat if need to. So which of those two would you say was the better version?
B version 2.
I have B. I have 1B. Anybody else? And was that, is this Star talking?
No, it's me. Okay.
I'm sorry, which one?
Carol.
Okay, thank you. I know, because Star's like thing was, I was like, that doesn't sound like, so thank you. Okay, so I have a B, I have a B, and a B. Lots of Bs. Okay, now here's the more difficult part. Can you explain why it was better? This is tricky. In whatever words you can. Because my D didn't touch the floor on the second one, correct? Could you go a little bit further into that? So there was control. Could the second one be described as basically I collapsed into the floor and then I try to get myself out of it? Yeah, so control's a factor. Now, before I demonstrate that one more time, my question is this. Did anyone notice if my back heel was on or off the ground? So I'm asking for a detail. Yes or no? Was my back heel on or off the ground? I have an I don't know from Romario. I don't know from Carol. Off, says Paige. One more. That's okay, Sandra. I have I don't know off the ground. Okay, let me pause you there. Thank you, Start. Another I don't know. So again, looking at the back heel was not a detail many of you picked up. Paige did though, and she was right. So if I go back there, I think you could see my feet. If I go back, right? And if I go to the second version, upper body's relaxed, heel stays put. This movement becomes very different if I keep that back heel down, right? That A version, the thing that I performed, is how I see a lot of kids doing it. They kind of collapse, they like slam their knee into the ground, right? And then they typically will do this, and they'll, if not, they'll use their upper body to kind of pick them up, right? So these are all those little details to recognize if you're trying to get a movement more efficient, right? Or I should say, I shouldn't say efficient, because for a lot of people, slamming into the ground and trying to use their arms is efficient. To make it do what you want it to do, to make it actually work your legs and be a controlled piece. Okay, I'm gonna go back to shared screen to look at the second and last assignment. This is today's assignment. So if you haven't done it yet, this should make it a quick snap. Line versus squiggles. Really enjoy titling these things, by the way. So we're gonna look at some contradiction again. Progress is a linear process. The more you do, the better you get, the more you can do. Okay. We still, despite all of the refutes that have happened this week, we still have over 3/4 saying like, yep, that's true. So if I go out and run a mile and do nothing different, then that's automatically going to go up. I'm automatically going to be able to run a mile easier and longer. My body is a machine that's just going to put out, I guess, performance. I'm not going to have an off day. My mental health isn't going to be a factor. My knee pain isn't going to be an issue, right? Again, this is what we want to believe. The more effort I put in, the better I get. That's how it works. That is not how it works. And our expectations of that is what trips us up. Okay. Now, the next question, let me go to, which line more accurately describes how learning happens? I have to bring up the picture that I made. There it is. I made this myself. So which line accurately depicts learning? So I've got a red one and a squiggly blue one. Okay, that was the picture given. And then I said, hey, which one? And over 3/4 said the swirly spiraling blue one that loops. So here's the thing. If learning happens in a spiral and it's not a straight line, I have things to figure out. It might not even be that nice of a spiral. If learning is a spiral of ups and downs and lefts and rights, isn't living a spiral? Isn't doing progress improvement a spiral or a squiggle? Right? Right? We can associate that that's how learning works, but it's kind of, there's a disconnect to that's how our body works. And that's super important because of expectations. If I expect that my workouts are going to make me continually better without any breakdowns, without any issues, right? And I don't get that, then I'm going to get mad at myself or the exercise. And again, I'm going to forget the enjoyment of being in it. Okay. Exercise by nature is surrounded by and embedded with periods of rest. Yes, it works like this. The same as maintenance. And if we have a higher amount of effort, we have to have a higher amount of rest. A high equals a low. Balance. Maintenance happens in ways of acting and observing, right? I need to know what to look for. I need to know what to do about it. Okay. If I'm wrong, I'm going to get overwhelmed. So what am I looking at? What, when, and what should I do about it? To know if what we've done is correct, we have to observe and reflect on the results. Yes. Right? So if my running a mile a day gives me foot pain, is that the result I wanted, even though I did all the work? Right? If I run every day and I ran to lose weight and I'm not losing weight, that running is not affecting and getting to where the place you want. We have to adjust. And if you don't want to stop running, which is fine, then you have to start looking at everything around running. What are those pieces? Oh, I always run up to Starbucks and I get a giant milkshake when I go there. That's my run. Maybe I need to separate that. Okay, what are you looking at? Zoom in, zoom out. Big default here. I am patient in expecting results. This is why we get so frustrated. Because if learning in life happens in a spiral, there needs to be some grace and patience. If I expect A to lead to B, immediately I'm going to get upset. I'm not going to have the consistency to stay with it. I need to trust the process. And if we don't trust the process, then we just looked at the product. How do we make the process more interesting and make this is the first, and by the way, I have to say, the one and only same color circle where there's no disagreement. One way to build patience is to make the process of making change interesting. 100%, first time ever. I kind of want to like put this on my wall, right? If I have to wait for something, how do I get interesting in the waiting? Not necessarily distract. Think about when you have to wait, right? Immediately we go to our phones. But how do I make the process of waiting interesting? How do I be in it? Lastly, I am able to shift my attention during exercise and activity to making it interesting while I'm doing it. 3/4 of you were on the same page. We could find things, breathing, adjust, heal, this, that. What about this? 25%, though, are going to be that results oriented. They're going to be, again, they want to run through the brick wall for the sake of running through the brick wall, when other people watching will be like, why don't you just walk around the wall? Okay. Sharing. And I'll stop recording.